Let us begin meeting number 9 of May 24th, 2021 of the Mayor and Borough Council of the Borough of South River. Calling this to order and request a statement of notice of publication be read by Mr. Lundensky.
In compliance with Chapter 231 of Public Law 1975, notice of this meeting was given by way of annual notice filed with the Borough Clerk, the Home News Tribune, the Sentinel, and posted at the bulletin board in the Borough South River Municipal Building. Be further advised that the Mayor and Council of the Borough of South River will hold its regular meetings on Monday, May 24th at 7 p.m. via online video conference provided by Zoom, pursuant to the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-8, small b. This meeting will be held by means of the use of electronic communication equipment. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, no members of the public shall be permitted to physically attend the meeting. The public, however, is invited to attend the meeting electronically. The Mayor and Council will take formal action at this meeting. The borough is using this format in an effort to mitigate the chance of exposure to COVID-19 as a part of the borough's ongoing effort to slow the rate of transmission and avoid overwhelming our treatment centers. This action will be in force for all existing meetings until otherwise notified by public notice.
Thank you, sir. We will now have the call of the roll.
Councilwoman Ballas?
Here.
Councilman Sayula?
Here.
Councilman Gindi?
Here.
Councilman Gerchinsky?
Here.
Councilwoman Mira?
Here.
Council President Eppinger?
Here.
Mayor Krenzel?
Here. We will now have the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty
and justice for all.
I ask that you have a moment of silence. Remember also your thoughts. We had the passing of Woodis Borough the other day. She was the borough historian, and we have a great loss because she died just 3 weeks before her 100th birthday. And
Wow.
with her goes the great depository of a lot of South River's knowledge. Thank you. There are no proclamations, honors, awards, or presentations. However, we are going to have something added to the agenda. We are going to go into executive session. In your emails, you should find the instructions. It's going to be done over the telephone. So we're going to have the reading of the resolution, and then we're going to remember to mute yourselves and shut off your cameras there. And we will go into executive session.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
prior to executive session, can just procedural aspect, can we move up the new business resolution 2021-148, appoint acting borough clerk, so Mr. Lundensky can be formally the acting borough clerk in executive session, and he can certify the executive session resolution?
Yes, we will do that.
Thank you.
For our executive
Thank you, Mr.
session, we'll have the new business. Mr. Lundensky, will you read resolution 148?
Resolution appointing Arthur Lundensky as acting municipal clerk pursuant to NJSA 40A:9-133, capital C in parentheses. Whereas there is currently a vacancy in the position of municipal clerk in the borough, and whereas NJSA 40A:9-13.3 small c in parentheses, permits the governing body within 90 days of the occurrence of a vacancy by reason of departure of a registered municipal clerk to appoint a person who does not hold a registered municipal clerk certificate to act as acting municipal clerk for a period not to exceed 1 year, commencing on the date of the vacancy. And whereas the borough desired to appoint Arthur Lendansky as acting municipal clerk pursuant to NJSA 40A:9-133 till such time as the borough appoints a full-time municipal clerk. Now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of Borough of South River, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey as follows. 1, that the governing body does hereby appoint Arthur Lendansky as acting municipal clerk pursuant to NJSA 40A:9-133, small c in parentheses. 2, that the appointment is effective immediately and continue until such time as the borough appoints a full-time municipal clerk.
Pleasure on the resolution.
Move the resolution as presented.
Second.
Motion has been made by Mr. Eppinger, seconded by Mr. Gindi. Discussion?
This is going to be a short-lived appointment. As you see in the agenda, we will be appointing a borough clerk later on in the meeting.
Hearing none, roll call.
Councilwoman Ballas,
Yes.
Councilman Sayula,
Yes.
Councilman Gindi,
Yes.
Councilman Gerchinsky,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mira,
yes,
Councilman Eppinger,
Yes.
Mayor Krenzel doesn't need to vote.
Correct? Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Wyatt. Now, Mr. Lendansky, if you could read the resolution to get us into executive session.
Resolution 2021-164, whereas Section 8 of Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, permits the exclusion of the general public from a meeting of the governing body under certain circumstances, and whereas the mayor and council of Borough of South River are of the opinion such circumstances presently exist. Now therefore be it and hereby resolved, the mayor and council of Borough of South River in the County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, that the public be excluded upon the hereinafter specified subject matter, and that such subject matter to be discussed is as follows. Personnel, Construction Code Department. Be it further resolved that such record of the above discussion will be made public when confidentiality is no longer required.
Your pleasure on.
Move the resolution as presented.
Second.
The resolution has been moved by Mr. Eppinger, seconded by Mrs. Ballas. Roll call.
Councilwoman Ballas,
Yes.
Councilman Sayula,
Yes.
Councilman Gindi,
Yes.
Councilman Gerchinsky,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mira,
yes.
Council President Eppinger.
Yes.
Okay. Turn off your video and your mute. Make a motion to go into open. Roll call.
Motion to open.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gindi, seconded by Mr. Eppinger. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? The ayes have it. I count that everybody is here, so we don't need to have the roll call. Okay, we did the new business on the agenda. We appointed the acting borough clerk. We do have an agenda session, a few items for discussion. Mr. Lendansky, do you want to handle that, or should we have Mr. Soares handle the DPW summer hours?
The DPW summer hours are normal summer hours. We just notify the mayor and council that sanitation will be working from 4:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. and on Fridays from 4:30 a.m. to 10:30. Roads and parks, 6:30 to 3. And on Fridays, 6:30 to 12:30. Mechanics, 4:30 in the morning to 1:30 in the afternoon, 4:30 to 10:30 on Fridays. And the sweeper operator, 3:30 to 12:30 and 4 to 10 on Friday. Then the DPW office will be open from 7 to 3:30 Monday through Thursday, and 7 to 12:30 on Friday. And this is the normal hours that we've used forever. It's more of just a notification. There's no resolution necessary.
That's right. The demand for relief, nonprofits and Board of Education.
I can take that, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Mr. Zhang and I were just having our weekly discussions, and it's that time of the year where the last number of years we've granted relief for demand in nonprofits. And instead of waiting until it gets really hot and like going back and doing it, we thought it would be best to put that on the agenda for tonight. I didn't think that anybody'd have any issues with it. We've, again, like Art has mentioned in other things, we've been doing this for a number of years now, and we just wanted to get ahead of the curve.
Okay.
If there's no objections, we'll put it on the next meeting.
Yes, very
Yep,
good.
it's fine.
Reopening of the borough buildings. That's yours, Arthur.
Yes, we've been talking the mayor, and we've been looking at the governor's rules, and we're thinking about opening the municipal building July 1st by appointment only.
Okay.
And not for payment of utility or taxes.
All right.
So appointment only would be like for people that are applying for permits and things like that?
Correct.
Okay.
And as everyone knows, we have glass partitions. We have a side office and the front offices behind the counter, so they would be protected. So, and the problem is we can't open generally to the public because we don't have enough room to social distance at this time. And to set up appointments and have a line out the door just wouldn't work. So we would like to start in July by appointment only for seeing the zoning officer, construction department, opening up accounts for utilities, etc.
I have a question.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I have a question. I noticed a lot of things are now opening up throughout the state. Perfect example, today I was in Wawa, and they had a big sign saying if you had a vaccination card, you didn't have to walk in with a mask. Now, I know that our front doors are buzzed in, and I also know that we have the glass partition. Wouldn't it be smarter maybe or wiser to do us every other day maybe instead of appointment only?
Whatever the council's wishes are, we don't have a buzzer system on the door. We'd have to leave the doors open.
All right. Well, the only reason I'm asking is because I think by July, I mean, the way everything's opening up now, something's telling me by July, a lot of things are going to be wide open.
I was gonna, Peter, you stole my thunder. I was gonna say, my suggestion had been, Mayor, is that we go by appointment after Memorial Day and start June 1st or whatever it is. Yeah, that would be June 1st, the day after Memorial Day with appointments. And then I agree with Peter that every day there's rumors going around that the mask mandates are gonna be lifted in a couple of days anyway.
As of Friday.
Is it Friday? Is it?
Yeah.
Friday, yeah.
Yeah, I would say I would go with by appointment. I mean, if you want to do appointments on June 1st, and then again, ease back into it. But I think July 1st is a little bit by July 1st, everything may be open anyway. That's just my thoughts. I would say June 1st.
Whatever the wishes of the council.
I agree.
I agree, Ray. That sounds like a good idea. The sooner the better, because I know a lot of people are waiting to get things done, especially for the summertime.
Yeah, and again, we can't just say, oh, starting tomorrow. That's not fair either. This, I mean, I know it's a holiday weekend coming up, but if to tell people that they can start doing appointments on Tuesday, I think is more than fair. Because again, Art, I agree with Pete. I think before the end, things are changing so fast that by July 1st, we may be Mardi Gras in New Jersey again.
Yeah.
Everything will seem to open up, but as of Friday, according to what I saw on the news, the mask mandate is gone.
Yeah.
If you're vaccinated now, but I agree. Wait until July 1st, I think is a little too long.
Yep.
Or
Mayor, council are comfortable with June 1st, we'll make it June 1st.
June 1st it is.
I would say June 1st, Art.
I agree.
Go ahead,
Mr.
James. Julie?
Just one thing too. Are we going to require the public to wear masks inside the building? Because that's an option, and that's, they said that goes strictly by the individual business, offices, whatever. Have them wear masks until July 1st?
Councilman Seula, the announcement that we will be mask-free came out today, but the executive order has not. We're not really sure what is in that executive order yet. We need to be able to see the exact executive order because there were exceptions in there to see what we are required to do as a public entity and a municipality before we can make decisions on whether or not that is even permissible.
Well,
That's what I'm asking. Andrew, should we just, like, for now, being it's going June 1st, just have it where everyone has to wear a mask coming into the building?
Yes, as of right now, because the executive order has not come out, you have to wear a mask in the building.
Okay, that's perfect. Okay.
Because the
not a problem.
executive order has not been issued. At least I looked before the meeting. I did not see it. I believe it was just an announcement. And even so, it wouldn't, I don't believe it's supposed to be effective until Friday. What we can do is, depending on what the executive order says, you can always amend your process. I mean, this is a fluid process. You can always
Right.
amend the process at your June 10th meeting
Okay.
or before
Okay.
July 1st. But prior to, it would be premature to do it right now because technically we are still operating under the previous executive orders, which require us to have masks inside
That's,
and also require us to have the 6 feet distance.
yep, that's fine. I just wanted to clarify that. I mean, that's perfect. I have no problems with that whatsoever.
Andrea, I have a question because I was reading something that the governor put out today as of 1:30 this afternoon. He actually states New Jersey restaurants, retail stores, gyms, churches, and other businesses will no longer be required to keep 6 feet of social distancing between persons of groups to protect against the coronavirus starting Friday. The same day, the state will stop requiring people to wear masks at indoor public places in most circumstances, Governor Phil Murphy announced.
But
Under
Peter,
Murphy's
that's exactly
new
what,
executive order.
I'm sorry, but that's what Andrew just said. That's what he said. We don't have a change in the executive order
Yeah,
yet.
it's not an executive
Once the
order.
executive order is issued, she can look at it, give us guidance and work
Right.
with Art and the team to figure out what's I mean, you're right. By Monday morning, when it goes, or
Every
Tuesday,
day
when
is
it goes
changing,
into
right.
effect, we may be open but as of right now, what he says and what the executive, the fine print, the devil in the details, right?
All right, well, I have also a question, more so for the police chief. I know Middlesex County Sheriff's Department, court houses have been now taking on trials and stuff of that nature. Did we open up our courtroom yet?
That would be, the courtroom is not open. The opening of the municipal court would be a question for the judge and the court administrator. That's separate from the police department.
Okay. The reason I was asking is because of, future council meetings to come.
But to Peter's effect, Executive Order 242 was released this afternoon.
It was, okay.
James, your thoughts?
I had a question. Do we know exactly, at least employees within the borough, what percentage has already been vaccinated?
No, we don't. I'm not allowed to ask that question. I could voluntarily poll them, but I haven't asked that question.
Yeah, you can't do that with the HIPAA rules. You're not allowed to.
Can't ask anybody whether
do
they're
that, yeah.
vaccinated or not.
Exactly.
At this point, it doesn't matter. If they don't want it, that's their problem.
Yeah, you can't make them have it.
Yep, exactly.
Anything else, Julie?
I wasn't trying to force anybody to have it, but it would be, I guess, in a way of prevention from spreading the virus. If we knew if they were vaccinated or not, then they would have their free will of not using their masks once that order was lifted. That was the only reason I wanted to ask.
Yeah,
It's
by
a fair question. I think we'd all agree with you that that's a fair question. You'd love to know. Unfortunately, rules
Can't
being
do
what they are, we can't ask.
Can't ask.
James?
So will we be asking people when they walk in if they have their vaccination cards or not once the mask mandate is
Can't
lifted?
do it.
I think it would have to be, depending on what the executive order says, we can and can't do.
Yeah, the procedure of opening up the building definitely needs to be looked into before we can make any hard and fast decisions. And again, that's one of the reasons why I said I need to look at the text of the executive order to see exactly what has been ordered and what has been repealed at the time. And I suspect to do that between now and your next meeting too. So I think we'll have more information regarding the same by your next meeting.
So in effect, can we open up June 1st by appointment only, or should we hold off, or what?
You can open by appointment only. Whether or not we can open and we not require masks and allow people to come inside without masks, that's a different story. You can
All right.
absolutely open by appointment only on June 1st.
Okay.
We'll leave it in the good hands of Mr. Lundensky.
And how will we let the public know this is happening unless they're watching the meeting?
We will send out a nixle. We will put it on our webpage. Maybe the mayor will do
A reverse 911?
Yeah.
And urge people to get vaccinated at the same time.
Well, there you go.
That's true. Okay.
And finally, James, do you have anything to add?
No, I don't, Mayor.
Okay, very good. All right, then. We now go to ordinances, second reading, public hearing, 2021-05. Mr. Lundensky.
an ordinance to amend the code of the Borough of South River, Chapter 193 entitled Vehicles and Traffic by amending Section 193-31.1 Schedule handicap parking thereof.
Make a
Mr. Mayor, I
motion,
move
waive
to
the full
waive the
reading.
full reading.
Or who said that?
I did.
Second,
Second, whatever.
Okay. We'll have Mr. Eppinger, seconded by Mr. Sula. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? The ayes have it. We will now open up this handicap parking space ordinance to the public. You can either raise your hand or you can do this by way of raising your hand through Zoom. I'll give you a moment or two. On first call, second call, third call.
Move
Make
to
a
close.
Close.
Motion has been made by Mrs. Ballas, seconded by Mr. Ciulo. All in favor?
Aye.
aye,
Against? The ayes have it. Your pleasure on the ordinance.
Move the ordinance as presented, Mr. Mayor.
Second,
Second.
Motion has been made by Mr. Eppinger, seconded by Mr. Gindi to move the ordinance. Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilwoman Ballas,
Yes.
Councilman Sayula,
Yes.
Councilman Gindi,
yes.
Councilman Gerchinsky,
yes,
Councilwoman Mira,
yes,
Council President Eppinger.
Yes.
Mayor six in favor, adopted.
Moving on to ordinance 2021-06. Mr.
An
Lundensky.
ordinance of the Borough of South River, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 350 of the Borough Code of the Borough of South River entitled Zoning. Be it ordained
Make a
by
motion to
the
waive the full reading.
Second.
Motion has been made by Mr. Ciulo to waive the full reading, seconded by Mr. Eppinger. All in favor?
Aye.
aye,
Against? The ayes have it. At this point in time, we would normally come to public comment. However, I understand that there's going to be a proposed amendment or amendments to this ordinance that will be in such a state that it's going to render this ordinance that is being proposed, we would not be able to vote on it. In other words, there will be so many changes that will be essentially the introduction of a new ordinance. Am I correct on this?
That is correct.
That is correct. Mr. Gindi, would you like to address this?
Thank you. As you know from last council meeting, the mayor did put me in charge of all this. And this was a very, very delicate ordinance. I know affects a lot of people in this town, a lot of livelihoods. And this was something where I needed to do a lot of research. Research conducted of obviously manufacturers ranging from Ford to Chevy to Dodge, to even going out to the New Jersey State Troopers DOT division. And I also had the opportunity to speak quite a few outside contractors as well. So my amendment will be reading, or can read, or hopefully it gets accepted, such as this way, sorry. Prohibited parking in residential zones. A, all commercially registered vehicles having a gross vehicle weight rating in excess of 14,000 pounds with a model year older than 2014 are prohibited from the parking on private property in residential zone, except as authorized by section 193-10, and excluding commercially registered pickup trucks as set forth in section B. Section B, commercially registered pickup trucks have less than 14,000 pounds gross weight with additional 5,000 pounds for the trailer use known as class 4 vehicles. Based on the manufacturer's vehicle specifications are permitted to park on private property in the residential zone. Commercially registered pickup trucks of any weight which have a trailer, compressor, any sort of tow behind, ladders, forms, and or any other material on overhang racks are prohibited from parking on private property in residential zone, except as authorized by section 193-10. C, all box trucks, cab over trucks, chassis, cab trucks, concrete mixer trucks, dump trucks, flatbed trucks, semi-tractor trailers, trucks, and platform trucks are prohibited from parking on private property in residential zone, except as authorized by section 193-10. That will conclude it.
Okay. So you are going to be making an amendment to this ordinance.
Yes.
Okay. Before we discuss this, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Eppinger. Okay, well, now we'll have a discussion. My first question is one I'll ask of the attorney. Is this a proper way of amending this ordinance?
Yes, I believe so. It would be a substantial amendment, so it does convert this proceeding into first reading. But I believe it does capture the intent of council thoroughly, and it can be effectively enforced.
Okay. Are there any questions on this amendment?
Mr. Mayor, not any questions, just a couple comments. I want to thank Mr. Gindi for doing most of the legwork on this. He spent a lot of time and effort on this one the last couple of weeks. I wanted to punch him in the nose at one part because he was calling me so many times about the adjustments he was making. But in all honesty, my thought from day one is we have to address this. And I wanted to share with the governing body that over the last week or so, between texts, emails, my visits to Stop and Shop, have all met with people who are very, very excited and thankful that we're taking this action. They heard our comments and they watched our meetings about, they don't want to comment in public, they don't want to get their neighbors in trouble, but there's a lot of this going on in the residential zones. My discussion on this earlier, that it's in our zones, people should have the expectation of living in a residential zone. I give Mr. Gindi a lot of credit because, and again, talking to him, talking to the chief, talking to the borough attorney, talking to the mayor, I get the sense now that we'll be putting together a very comprehensive, complete ordinance that's most importantly fair. Again, as Peter mentioned, this is not to make business people's lives miserable. It's trying to strike that balance between a residential zone and people wanting to make their living. And so again, after these discussions and reading this and discussing this, I'm happy to second these amendments, and it would put it on, we'll get to that, but it'll put it on for the next meeting for public hearing and vote. But I want to thank Mr. Gindi for all of his work on this. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other comments?
Mayor, just a quick question on the enforcement of the new ordinance. Will our police department have the jurisdiction to go on and ticket if need be, or how's that going to work?
Generally, it would be your code enforcement officer, but your police officers do have jurisdiction to cite code violations. What would most likely happen is your code enforcement officer would contact your police department if there was a question about their gross weighted rate or not. And your police department has the ability to determine what the gross weighted rate of the truck is. And so most likely it will be your code enforcement department, but your police department can.
All right, 'cause I'm just thinking if something happens on a weekend and our code enforcement isn't working, is our police able to go on to private property or however to, enforce this new ordinance?
It's a municipal code violation. It's
Okay.
not, and that's what it will be prosecuted as a municipal code violation.
Okay, all right, great, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, Councilwoman.
From what I understood, that you said the pickup trucks that it would be for 14,000 plus the 5,000 of whatever they carry. That's still 19,000. And I want to say there's still a great amount of pickup trucks in town, the ones that they do use to pick up employees to go to work, that are registered at 20 to 25,000. And if code enforcement is the one that will be ticketing this, people go to work early in the morning, 5 a.m., and they come home at 5, 6 p.m. and code enforcement isn't working at that time. So I don't see how code enforcement will be enforcing this if not the police department. Did anybody
Well,
think of?
Julie, I actually covered that. So you said 20,000, which is absolutely correct, based on what the New Jersey State Troopers DOT division requires you to have on your truck. The reason they require that is because you're actually pulling a trailer. So when you're going down the highway, you have to go through a weigh station. So you have to show the actual full amount of weight. Does not mean, this is on section B, I actually wrote, based on manufacturing vehicle specifications. So the actual truck, if you open up that door, you're going to see the real gross weight vehicle number on it. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to allow all pickup trucks pretty much on the premises. The only thing I'm not allowing is tow behinds, concrete mixers, things sitting on a rack. So I'm basically saying, yes, you could bring your pickup truck home. That's exactly what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying, but you're reading me something that nobody has in front of them. We have
Well,
the original we have here
I can
because
tell you this, today is the first, hold on, today's the amendment. You'll have it posted first thing probably tomorrow. That's why
Okay.
it's going to be put out, and you're going to have a whole entire, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before the next meeting to post it, read it, and then you come to the public hearing, you could talk about it all you want.
correct, but we're having a discussion about it now. And this was something I get. Thank you for putting out the effort after it was posted for people to see the ordinance. I think this should have been well thought out before spending borough money to put this up as an ordinance. I'm glad that you guys all rethought the situation and didn't go ahead with what was originally posted. But again, the issues that we're having early in the morning or late at night, bringing these trucks home, code enforcement does not work at those hours. So who will be enforcing this when somebody's neighbor is going to complain at 5 o'clock in the morning regarding the noise or the truck that they don't want in their residential area?
Police department.
We already went through that. The police department will have jurisdiction.
Well, that's still
No,
a matter that we have to look into. There's matters of us going onto private property to look at vehicles that are over the weight limit. So that's still something that has to be looked into.
And additionally, just because code enforcement's normal hours are not early in the morning or late at night, that doesn't stop enforcement from code enforcement. When you have a violation reported over the weekend, code enforcement either can be called in and or it can look at the violation on another day. I don't necessarily think, and I apologize for the dogs barking. I don't necessarily think that just the issue of the hours that code enforcement works would prevent any enforcement of this ordinance.
And then my other issue is the gross weight. How will, so code enforcement will now have to contact the police department to see how much a vehicle's been registered for or what their weight is. Because if the vehicle's not there when code enforcement goes to hear about the situation. That I'm just trying to understand the process of what it's gonna be. Are people gonna be complaining to the police because code enforcement isn't open at 5 o'clock in the morning or at 6:30 when these trucks are coming home from work?
I could tell you where your calls are gonna probably come in. They're gonna come in when you get a person that comes home with a triaxle or a mason dump or a 18-wheeler or a oversized vehicle. But chances of you getting a phone call over a pickup truck, I'm gonna probably say slim to none. Now, the chances of you getting a person that revs up their motor late at night, they're probably going to get a phone call. And that's usually any type of vehicle for that matter. But the chances of anyone chasing a pickup truck theory, I'm sorry, Julie, I'm probably going to say they're not going to go after it. The past 2 years, your complaints have been rotating around exactly what I said in the beginning. Dump trucks, mason dumps, triaxles, 18-wheelers. That's where your problems have been generated.
I will give an example of a street over from me that there's new neighbors on the street above me that neighbors keep complaining about a regular truck because of the noise that it makes in the morning. So how are we going to enforce that? That's what I'm trying to get
But
at.
that's a different, but I would say, I would suggest, Julie, that that's a different issue. A noise complaint, I think as Peter said, is going to be a noise complaint, whether it's a truck or a car or a motorcycle at 5 o'clock in the morning, revving and stuff like that. This is talking about the storing and keeping of these vehicles. And one of the points you made is who's going to be there. Is again, if somebody's stopping by somebody's house at 5:30 in the morning to pick somebody up, this ordinance has nothing to do with that.
This is
But if
for
the person comes home at 6 o'clock at night and parks his dump truck in the driveway, that's what this is about. This isn't about somebody pulling up in the morning to pick somebody up or dropping somebody off at night. This is putting
Commercial vehicle. I'm talking about a registered commercial vehicle, gotten complaints and complaints because, and you know, I 14,000 plus an extra 5,000. I think that's still going to be less than what these trucks are registered as, regular pickup trucks that take people to work. That's what I'm trying to get at.
90% of your pickup trucks don't exceed 14,000.
But they're registered at 20 to 25,000.
You didn't hear what I said in the beginning. So the reason they're registered at 20,000.
What you're saying, I don't have anything to read. You guys are amending something drastically and we're
Right.
having discussion, which is great. But you already had all these things pointed down before today's meeting. So why couldn't we all have been informed of the information that you had to present today? That's what I'm getting at right now.
Okay.
It would have been easier to have this discussion if all members of the council who are going to vote on this knew exactly what was being presented.
Are we voting?
That's all I have to say.
I want to understand, we are not voting on this
Yeah,
right now.
I just said, are we voting?
It's going to get revised and we're
You
going
will.
to have it for the next time.
Right, exactly. So let it go till next time and let it be posted, and then we'll take it as a second reading.
Okay. I think as a courtesy, I think if you're going to extremely amend something, it would be nice to get it beforehand, especially if it's going out as first reading. When we get something for first reading, we have it in front of us, correct? I'm asking. So that's all I have, Mr.
This
Mayor.
is the first time that I'm hearing of this, so I find the discussion fascinating. We are going to vote on the amendment to the ordinance. And I believe that that's going to be done by a roll call. If there's other discussions, then a vote for yes will be to amend the ordinance. And at that point, I believe that we will then have to move the ordinance, or does that happen automatically to the borough attorney? But I think we have to, if we're going to amend it, it's a major, then we have to say the magic words again and put it on for our next reading, is the next meeting, which is June the 14th. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
you need to
Then-
have two.
Okay, then can we have a roll call as to the, Mr. Lundensky, as to the amendment?
Councilwoman Ballas,
Yes.
Councilman Sayula,
Yes.
Councilman Gindi,
Yes.
Councilman Gerchinsky,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mira,
Yes.
Councilman Eppinger.
Yes.
Okay. So the ordinance has now been amended. It is a substantial change, therefore, we are going to have to reintroduce it again. So if I could ask Mr. Eppinger to do his magic lines.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Point of order, either Art or Mrs. Wyatt. Because of that, does it get a new number? Does it become ordinance something else as opposed to ordinance number
06.
2021-6? Are we okay to, just because it's been amended, it's fine to keep it at 2021-6?
We keep it at 2021-6.
All right. Then, Mr. Mayor, I move that the council pass ordinance 2021-06 on first reading by title only. The clerk be authorized to publish the same as required by law with a second reading and public hearing at a meeting on June 4, I believe it's June 14th, 2021 at 7 p.m. by way of electronic teleconference or in the council chambers of the Borough of the Criminal Justice Building at 61 Main Street in South River, New Jersey.
Second.
Motion has been made by Mr. Eppinger, seconded by Mr. Gerchinsky. Roll call.
Councilwoman Ballas,
Yes.
Councilman Sayula,
Yes.
Councilman Gindi,
Yes.
Councilman Gerchinsky,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mira,
Yes.
Council President Eppinger.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Then we will revisit this on June 14th. Everyone who's interested, keep an eye out. It'll be on the agenda and also on the website. We now move to ordinances. First reading by title only, ordinance 2021-07.
An ordinance of the Borough of South River, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 350 of the Borough Code of the Borough of South River entitled Zoning.
Make a motion, we waive the full reading?
We're not
Oh, it's,
reading the
it's-
full reading. It's simply by title
Okay.
only. Mr. Eppinger?
Mr. Mayor, thank you, but Mr. Gindi had asked if he could introduce these next two ordinances, and I said I have no objection.
Indeed.
Thank you. I make a motion. I move that the council pass ordinance 2021-07 on its first reading by title only, and that the clerk be authorized to publish as same as required by the law with the second reading to the public hearing to be held at the meeting on June 14th, 2021 at 7 p.m. by ways of electronic teleconference or in council chambers of the Criminal Justice Building at 61 Main Street in South River, New Jersey.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Motion's been made by Mr. Gindi, introducing it by title only, seconded by Mr. Eppinger. I'm sorry, Mr. Gindi, I was writing something. What day is this going to be revisited?
June 14th.
No, I believe it has to be done in July. And the reason why is because this concerns zoning, so it's going to have to go to the planning board. Am I correct, Mrs. Wyatt? Yes,
You are
I have to
correct.
give them
That's correct.
time to review it.
Okay.
So
I'll
it'll have
amend
to
it
be
and
in the
let's put it
July
in July.
meeting,
Hold on one second.
Hold
which
on.
everybody knows, of course, immediately off the top of their head. There is only one meeting in July.
Really?
That is July the
20th.
12th, Mayor.
Is it
All right,
July?
solid.
July 12th.
I'll amend that date to July 12th, 2021.
And I'll amend my second.
Very good then. Then
Thank
with that change, Mr. Lundensky, roll call.
Councilwoman Ballas,
Yes.
Councilman Sayula,
Yes.
Councilman Gindi,
Yes.
Councilman Gerchinsky,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mira,
Yes.
Council President Eppinger.
Yes.
Moving on to ordinance 2021-08, Mr. Gindi.
I move that the council pass the ordinance 2021-08 on its first reading by title only, and that the clerk be authorized to publish the same as required by law, with the second reading to the public hearing to be held at the meeting on June 14th, 2021 at 7 p.m. by ways of electronic teleconference or in council chambers of the Criminal Justice Building at 61 Main Street, South River, New Jersey.
May I suggest that we also put this on for the July meeting?
Yes.
I will amend my date to July 12th.
Okay. Is there a
Second.
second? Mr. Eppinger, thank you for seconding. Mr. Gidney is introduced. Mr. Eppinger is seconded. Roll call.
Councilwoman Ballas,
Yes.
Councilman Sayula,
Yes.
Councilman Gindi,
Yes.
Councilman Gertinsky,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mira,
Yes.
Council President Eppinger.
Yes.
We'll revisit these two after the planning board reviews the zoning amendment. We now come to that part of the agenda concerning reports. We'll start off as we do. Mr. Koch, who has patiently been waiting. In fact, all our professionals have been patiently waiting. Mr. Koch, how are you tonight?
Good, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Improvements to Alborn Street and the 2019 curb and sidewalk program. We've processed the final payment. I'll remove this from the update as we'll just be getting the reimbursement for the borough. Well, number 2R, the contractor is drilling the well. For your next meeting, I believe I'll be able to give you a more thorough update on that as to how that's moving along. The 2020 roads we are working on, the 2021 roads, I believe your financing is in place, so when you're ready, you can authorize us to proceed with that. The curb and sidewalk program still has the July 15th deadline for the applications. The substation maintenance, we had the pre-construction meeting. The contractor didn't have an exact date, just said sometime in June. Again, for your next meeting, I'll be able to give you a better schedule from them. And since the last meeting, the governor's office has announced the 2022 state aid programs. Applications are due by July 1st. And what we've done is just attached a list of roads that the Public Works Director and I had put together last year. You may have seen this in another form or iteration. We've updated the prices to reflect all of the work that would be required under a DOT project, such as the traffic control and other items like that. So you could actually put in the entire list if you wanted to, or pare it down a bit, or tell us that there are other roads you would prefer to have us make an application for. So perhaps for your next meeting, which will be in June, we could have that determination, and then we could put the application together in time for the July 1st date. And that is it, Mr. Mayor. I will gladly answer questions if there are any.
I have some, Bruce.
Yes.
So do you feel like we will be able to do 20 and 2021 together? Is that
That is
our,
the intent. Well, we are gearing up to do that, even though we've not been authorized. We're putting it together in our heads that way. And I believe that, somewhere soon you should be able to authorize us to do that. But my understanding is you want to, and we're advancing it with that intent.
And I've already talked to Bruce and Joe on that, Julie, and it will be the authorization for CME to go forward will be at our next meeting.
And we will be working on it between now and then as well to get as much done as we can.
my next question, Bruce, is do you feel like South River qualifies for any of the safe streets aid? The state,
I looked at it quickly. It all appeared to be to transit places. I don't have it. I sent it separately. I don't have it with me, but my recollection is it was for transit, making more walkable things to transit such as that. I'll be happy to take another look at that, but I did review it when it came out, and that was my reaction to it at that time. If we had a train station, if we had a bus station or something like that, I feel it would have been more towards that.
I asked because we don't have the bus station, but since it does fall on Old Bridge Turnpike, and we are right across from it. Can we benefit from something like that, especially if it's money that can improve us?
Yeah, I think the direction or the intent of that was to improve access, other forms of transportation, like helping people walk to it by having the proper sidewalks or that. Be happy to discuss it further with you. If you want to meet and look at something, please let me know. And for the July meeting, we would, pardon me, the June meeting, we'd be in a better position to talk about it. You can call me at the office, whichever is convenient for you. I'd be happy to look at it closer with you.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mr. Koch. Good night.
Thank you and good night to all.
Night,
Hi,
Bruce.
Bruce.
Bruce, have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, Jim. Same
Monday,
to you.
Jim.
Weekend starts.
And everybody just moved. Where are you, Mr. Zango? There you are. Anything to report, sir?
Yes, just two things, two resolutions. You have a Chapter 159. These are grants that were received after the budget was adopted. For the record too, we submitted 3 applications for the CARES program and received $205,112.92 as a reimbursement, which is pretty good. So the third round of it is the $85,000 that's on the resolution tonight. And then you have property tax and utility refunds on the agenda. That's it.
Anything for Mr. Zanga? Hearing none, then going on to Mr. Suarez. Welcome back. It's good to see you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. So we'll be closed next Monday for the holiday, so there'll be no yard waste pickup. And also our shred event is on Saturday, June 26th at the DPW yard, 9 Ivan Way, from 9 a.m. to 12 or until the truck is filled. And it's rain or shine. And also there's a limit of 5 file boxes or 100 pounds per car. And the materials must be in the back seat or in the back of a truck if you have a pickup. They will pull it out. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, then. Anything for Mr. Suarez as I'm busy putting down that paper shredding event?
I have a question, Adriano. Does DPW water the trees that are on Main Street?
Yes.
Do we know? I don't think you would know, but do we know when those are ready to bloom? Like, do we know what the season is? If it's fall or if it's early summer?
I don't know that answer, Joe. I don't know.
Do they bloom?
I believe they flower. That type of tree.
Well,
I just
what type of tree is it? We can look it up right now.
I don't recall. I
Very
remember.
little stuff there. It's,
I think Bruce would know that.
he's got
I'm
it.
asking because one side of the street where the sun hits the best, those look like greener than the other side. And I just thought that they bloomed early summer, but might be full. That was the only.
Okay, very good. Anything else for Mr. Suarez? No? Okay. Thank you, sir. To our chief.
Mayor, good evening. I don't have anything for this meeting, but if anybody has any questions for me, I'll be very happy to answer them.
Any questions for the chief of police?
Jesse, you mentioned that we have an officer graduate the academy.
Yes, we do. We have Matthew McCann, who graduated the police academy on Friday from the Cape May County Police Academy. He will be starting tomorrow. We'll be starting his 12-week field training officer program. Hope to have him on the road very soon right after that. But he did graduate. It was a good academy, good academy graduation.
Thanks, Chief.
Very good.
Chief, did we get any response to crossing guards?
No, we have not. It's still something that's a very hot topic that we're looking for crossing guards. Thank you for bringing that up because I do see at one point in time we had 33 participants on the Zoom call. Anybody that's looking for a part-time job, during the day, 4 hours a day. We're looking for crossing guards. When right around now is right around the time when the crossing guards start taking some of their benefit time, and those open crossing posts are being filled in by police officers. On certain occasions, we have too many open posts and not enough police officers to cover them. So there is a crossing post right now that you probably see driving through town, is covered by a bunch of cones, which is on the corner of Division and Willett. So we are looking for a lot more part-time crossing guards. So if anybody knows a mom or dad or a sister or brother that's looking for a job, go down to Borough Hall and ask for an application, or I believe you can download those applications on the Borough website.
Very good. Thank you, Chief. Just so the general public knows, they have an understanding that there is a shortage, and that's the main reason that you don't see people at the corners.
Yes, but as of last meeting, we haven't had anybody looking for the position.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. Okay, Mrs. Wyatt, do you have anything as far as legal is concerned? I think we've used you enough for tonight.
I have nothing tonight, Mayor.
Okay, Mr. Lundensky.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, first, I want to report that the flushing program have been completed. Was very successful. Minor complaints, if any. I think we're in good shape now with our water system. We have some repairs to do. We'll be doing them in the next couple of months. Also on your agenda tonight, there are a number of appointments. An executive administrative assistant to the administrator's office, replacing Mrs. Jones after 30+ years of wonderful service to the borough. Appointments to various inspectors to the construction code department. Our plumbing subcode official passed away. The plumbing inspector moved up to his position. We have a part-time building inspector until we hopefully at the next meeting have a full-time building inspector, and our code enforcement officer now is also a licensed inspector to do inspections. We will be appointing a new borough clerk tonight. We will be appointing some summer help for part-time in the DPW. And that's basically appointment. That's basically all I have there.
Art, just to refresh my memory, who are we appointing as the borough clerk, the name?
Susan Minot.
Has she served anywhere else before she's coming to us?
Yes, she has. She's currently the clerk in the Township of Howell. Highly qualified, familiar with our new web design page that's coming on, familiar with running elections. Middlesex and Monmouth basically have similar machines. We had 5 applicants for the position. One person was not qualified, took the 3 best of the 4, and Ms. Panak was the finalist.
That was my question.
All right, I have a question. Will the website go live?
The end of the month.
Okay, and we're continuing with training with all the employees to get used to the
Full-time
program?
training tomorrow and Wednesday. Full-time training tomorrow and Wednesday. Then we have some cleaning up of the old issues that were transferred over that are not necessary anymore. And then at the end of the month, appropriately, we will go online with the new webpage.
I've seen the training. It's so exciting.
All right, I have another question for you. Well, first, thank you for being our intermittent borough clerk, as you can. But are we compensating Mr. Londensky for all of the positions that he has within the borough? Can anyone tell me that? Because I know he's our part-time business administrator, fire subcode, construction official, now interim borough clerk. Mr. Zanga, can you answer that question for me, I guess?
He's not being compensated for construction and acting borough clerk and OEM coordinator.
I mean, I'm sure everybody else who's helping out with these positions are going to be compensated. Wouldn't it be fair for Mr. Londensky to also be compensated for his work?
We've discussed the matter with Mr. Lundensky. Mr. Lundensky is happy with what he's being paid. And yes, we are saving a bundle of money because of him.
Okay.
That's an understatement.
Anything else for Mr. Lundensky? Then moving on to our agenda, the governing body reporting on their various positions and such as liaisons. Let's see, I think last time I started going alphabetically at Mrs. Ballas, so I'll start with you, Mrs. Mara, Councilwoman Mara. Anything to report?
Yes, with committees, human relations will meet June 1st. I believe we'll have an upcoming flag raising. For me not to give you incorrect information on date and time, I will say please keep a lookout on the borough website. We will be giving that information for the first flag raising of this year. Board of Health met last week. We will be having our free rabies clinic at 9 Ivan Way, Saturday, June 19th. If you recall, at the beginning of the year, I had asked to waive the late fees for our dog and cat license. They will be doing that as well, licenses as well. If you come to the free rabies clinic, it will be from 12 to 3 p.m. Dog license from 12 to 2 and cat license from 2 to 3. And that's again at DPW 9 Ivan Way. And if you're interested in volunteering or you would like to help, I know the Board of Health is always willing to have volunteers. Please call Michelle at the Borough Extension 517. And if you want to recheck that information, it is on the Borough website, as well as hopefully soon on TV 35. That's all I have for now, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Mr. Gurczynski.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank a lot of our DPW workers, and there's a special kudos goes to Alan Piscatelli for help for breakdown and setting up, because May was Older Americans Month, and they had hosted an event at Friday on at Bizet's Pond. 50 members had attended, and everyone enjoyed themselves. Age, we thank you and the department, the DPW, and Alan for the setup and breakdown in the heat. And the park grounds were immaculate and excellent caretaking by Rick Fenton. With that, our DPW also is doing an excellent job as far as keeping the town clean and neat, watering the trees, like I said, in Main Street, and just overall keeping us safe and protected. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Gindi.
Thank you. Our next planning board meeting is going to be on June 15th, and our zoning board is going to be on June 22nd. Our last planning board, believe it or not, we had a pretty intense meeting showing a new business coming to our town, hopefully getting rid of an eyesore. So you should come to the next meeting and see what is coming out to our town. As for Parks and Rec, I know that our meetings during the summer are usually off for the summer, but we are going to try our best to get one on, just since we haven't had one for quite a while, which is usually held the first Tuesday of every month. But besides all that, Parks and Rec has been doing a phenomenal job with their Zumba classes, their T-ball classes, events, as well as the upcoming fishing derby, which is going to be on June 5th. Pre-registration is only by line, and it's going to be at the Gorkowski Park, which is also known as the Bizet's Park. Please come out and register. We're going to have a great time. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Seula.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to let everybody know that we did have a Economic Development Committee meeting. They've appointed their chairman, vice chairman, their secretary, and their treasurer. Their dates are going to be posted online for their monthly meetings. There was a lot of great dialogue back and forth on different things that they can do to help businesses get established in town, to streamline the procedures. So that's all going to be coming into play very soon. And our environmental, they've started. They're going to be posting their meetings. I believe they sent it over ready to Mr. Lundunsky to have it posted. So you'll see their meeting dates set up that you can attend that also. So we're moving forward with our two very important committees. And that's all I have right now, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Ballas?
Yeah, I just have one thing. As I was going through the Board of Ed website today, schools will be closed Friday because of unused snow day. And of course, they're closed Monday. So just, kids will be out and about on Friday. I'm sure the weather's going to be nice. So just keep a heads up on that. And that's it.
Thank you. Mr. Eppinger?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just as I mentioned every meeting, every Tuesday and Friday at noon, the mayor, Mr. Lundunsky, Mr. Suarez, the chief, and Mr. Zhang and I, we have just a real quick get-together meeting of what's going on in the borough and tackling any issues that may be going on. So I just want everybody to know that that still can continue. We actually, again, it's one of those things that has come out of COVID. At one point, we were meeting every day at noon, then we dropped it to 3 days a week. But I think we've all kind of agreed that meeting and just keeping everybody's in touch as to what's going on. Age, again, welcome back. I know you had some surgery. It's good to see you back. Your old smiling self again, back at DPW. And the other thing I have for committees is tomorrow night is the monthly Library Board of Trustees meeting. And on tonight's agenda, you will see resolutions number 161 and 162. Some of you may remember a few years ago, the state of New Jersey had a bond referendum to authorize monies to be spent in a matching grant form for library construction. The first round of awards were issued earlier this year. There was a second round of funding, and in order, as part of the application process, we are going to be approving again our support for this with these two resolutions. And again, it's a 50% match. And there is some HVAC work and some other things that we're going to try to address at the library with the use of, hopefully we'll be able to secure some of the grant money. That's what I have at this point, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I have nothing to report as far as committees are concerned. So we'll move on to the agendas to public comments. I know somebody's already stated that they want to be heard. Please give your name and address. You'll be given 10 minutes to ask any questions or make any comments concerning the borough. So again, either raise your hand or...
Mayor, we have a Donna that wants
Yes.
to be heard.
Okay. Donna?
Hi, Mr. Mayor. My name is Donna Zamet, 93 David Street, South River, New Jersey. I have a question, if I may ask, about the ordinance amending the commercial vehicle.
Yes.
If I may just ask, my first question is around a lot of the folks here in town are blue collar workers. They rely on their vehicles. They are the bread and butter of this town when it comes to paying taxes too. When it comes to the change in the ordinance, the vehicle weight, I didn't quite understand it. I thought I heard something about the manufacturer weight versus the gross vehicle weight. Is the manufacturer's weight going to be what's looked at in the change of the ordinance?
I'll leave that with Mr. Gindi.
Yes, Ms. Emmett.
Okay, and so that would be part of the consideration, but then the towing capacity, it would be another factor into what is put into the ordinance as well?
No, because if you actually look at the way I wrote it, I made it a point to say, based on manufacturer's vehicle specifications that are permitted. So the problem you have nowadays is you got your typical pickup trucks that has a manufacturer's gross weight vehicle. The problem is, although DOT, the New Jersey State Troopers, require another number, the other number is based on their towing capacity. So when they have to go through weigh stations, they have to, declare the actual weight. So it's almost like a gray area. So speaking to the state troopers, I learned a lot about the word commercial. So technically speaking, anything over 10,000 pounds falls under the realm of the word commercial. So your typical pickup truck that I may own without a commercial plate, guess what? It falls under the word commercial. So what we're doing is we're making it easier for your everyday pickup truck that comes home with, let's say, a company name, whether it's Andre or S Brothers, whatever it may be. We're going out of our way to make sure that they're covered and it's not an inconvenience for their pickup trucks to come home.
Has the town thought about maybe like a registration so that folks that have and are in compliance with what's being proposed, this way the code enforcement would have that information?
What do you mean by that?
Like a medallion that says that they comply, a South River
Oh,
medallion.
you're talking about like a permit, like a sticker or some sort.
Like a
some sort.
sticker, yeah.
Yeah, that's the second part of us. We're actually working on something right now.
Okay. I have another question, and Councilman Julie Mara, it was a great point I think she was making about, a lot of these vehicles that may not be in compliance with whatever's passed. It's hard for our code enforcement, and it's difficult even to make a call out to a code enforcement. So I don't know if Andrea White, counsel to the borough, can answer this, but when it comes to the police, when the code enforcement isn't around, could the police stand on a public street, take a picture, and then pass that information on to the code enforcement, and the code enforcement can then take action upon whatever is necessary based on the code?
Thank you for your question, Donna. And Donna, this is something that I am going to meet with the chief and his guys about. But generally, your police department has the same rights as your code enforcement officer. So while they can't go through and search your house, if they can stand on the street, they can view what is parked in your driveway. But again, this is something that is going to be worked out between myself and the chief, and we're going to talk about the logistics of that going forward. I want to make sure that he's comfortable and we're comfortable, and we're going to do this going forward.
Okay. Okay. And so just one more, and this is just a comment. I would like the Borough Council to consider this, to maybe table this so that the public does have enough time to look at it, and then, ask their questions about that, so that, they have enough time to think about it and comment at the next meeting as well. So that was just a comment.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, if I may just explain the process. So what the process is now is, because there was a substantial amendment adopted to the ordinance, it basically puts this on for first reading again. So your ordinance is going to be published, and then you're going to have 3 weeks for the public to review it. And then at the next meeting, that's when they'll open public comment, so the public can come in, comment, and say what they like about the ordinance, say what they don't like about the ordinance. And then after that public comment period is when council will act. So council's not acting tonight. The only vote that was taken tonight was to publish it, so the public can actually read the ordinance and become informed.
Very good, thank you. And my
you.
other comment is another great comment by Councilwoman Julie Mayer around the safe streets. And the parking, and also we have a lot of bus stops, major bus stops that people get on those bus for transportation. And Old Bridge Turnpike, you've got within a few hundred yards, a major parking transportation center. And there's got to be a way where that safe street says within so many yards, within a few feet, if you think about it, where there's mass transportation, we can get some of that grant, because OBT is right across the street from there. And there were conversations, because it is a county road and there is mass transportation, South River should be able to benefit from that grant money. It's residents that are going to mass transportation, and there are plenty of residents that live in South River that use mass transportation. So I would hope that somebody seriously looks at that, not just relying on, all respect, but not just relying on a third party to do the research. That's all my comments for today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Next, we have Mr. Bill Frenick.
Yes, Mr. Frenick. We can't hear you.
Oh. I am unmuted, so.
You're very quiet.
My apologies. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, my apologies for that. Bill Frenick, 43 Colfax Street. I just had two questions. I live up obviously by Colfax and Wilcox. Wilcox and DeVoe have a lot of problems with very fast traffic. It makes it unsafe. Cars seem to think that 40, 45 miles an hour on Wilcox is safe. Is it possible to get the automated speed sign put on Wilcox for a period of time, just to remind people of that the speed limit is actually 25? We know we had an issue with DeVoe coming out to Main Street very recently, a tragic issue. That's not something we want to repeat, because people need a fast way to get from Main Street to Old Bridge Turnpike.
Chief?
Yes, we will do that.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much. And I had another question, or maybe it's a comment. Given that probably by this time, over 70 towns in the state have passed ordinances against businesses that are going to be, either involve cannabis or legalize marijuana. I want to know if there are plans for South River to add themselves to that list and keep the town a family town, and not encourage businesses that deal with marijuana to set up shop here.
I suggest that you look at the two ordinances that were introduced today concerning the zoning and cannabis.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will do that.
Okay.
And that are all my comments today, other than to thank everybody for their time and their efforts in making South River a great place to live.
Thank you. Mr. Lindensky, next.
Next, we have Sue Minach.
Good evening, Mayor, Council President, Council. My name is Sue Minach. I'm a resident of Jacobstown, New Jersey. I am on the agenda this evening as hopefully the upcoming Borough Clerk. I just wanted to say hello and meet you all, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, Mayor, we have Danielle Oswald.
Hi, Danielle Oswald, 16 Garwood Street. I just wanted to give an update of the South River Foundation for Educational Excellence. I believe it was last month that I let you know that we were having an awareness fundraiser. And because of our efforts, we were able to raise over $1,600. So I wanted to thank everyone who helped to get the word out about our fundraiser, and we're going to make this a regular thing. So thank you very much. And to everyone who donated, thank you.
Very good, thank you.
Next, Mayor, we have Mr. Jim Hutchinson.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. BA. Good evening, Mayor and Council. couple of questions and some comments. First off, a couple meetings back, I had made a recommendation for discussion or even for review from the mayor and council to possibly recognize 3 fallen great service participants in the town, John Scala, Frank DeMonico, and Charlie Mongelli, to honor them in their memory with possibly a picture or something of that nature in various locations of the borough. Was wondering if there's been any discussion about that or any follow-up on what I had brought forward to that meeting.
Not at this time, Mr. Hutchison. Thank you for reminding us again about it.
Okay. And unfortunately, kind of in that same mode, I just wanted to express my deep condolences to the Tony Rosano family with Tony's passing. I had the incredible privilege as members in attendance tonight also had of serving with Tony on Borough Council. And Tony was just a great, great servant of the town, not only within the school district, as a member of the Borough Council, as a member of the Board of Education, as a teacher, as a coach, as pretty much everything in the borough. He will be sorely missed. He was a very great man. And I told Tony something in passing some years ago. My first year serving on the Borough Council, Tony was the sole member of the opposing party. And he carried himself with incredible dignity, as he always did, was very respectful. Again, just a great servant. And some years after that, I ended up being the sole member of my party serving on Borough Council. And I told Tony that many times I sat there, and when I was ready to enact something or make a comment or whatever, I always said to myself, what would Tony Rosano do in this situation? So I honor him tonight by saying again, Tony, I thank you from the Hutchison household for all of your service, for your friendship. You will be sorely missed, my friend. Next, the commercial vehicle situation. I just want to thank Mr. Gindi for the hard work that you put in over the last couple of weeks and bringing all these issues to the council and to the mayor. In retrospect, I just wish this work would have been done prior to the creation of this ordinance for first reading the last time. I know there was questions brought up by Mr. Ciula, Ms. Beta, and Mr. Gindi at the last meeting. And now it's even more of a situation because, again, of Mr. Gindi's, the work that he created to add this addendum to it. Again, it would have been good, I think, to have done all that prior to the introduction of this this whole piece of information prior to the first reading today. It seems like we've done things kind of out of order, and it doesn't, I don't think it really bodes well for it. And certainly for, I want to comment on Ms. Maida. I agree 100% with you, ma'am. There's no reason why, this should have been brought up tonight without everybody in the council having a full details of this. It makes it very difficult to make a vote, to make comments, and at the same point in time to enact business. So again, I would hope in the future that we have a better process. But again, I think because of how it was originally introduced and not with the comments that had been put on prior to the introduction meetings ago, it created a rather choppy situation. So again, I hope we can do something a little bit better with that. My final question is, we're talking about a lot of events coming up with meetings and so forth. What about the Memorial Day Parade? Mr. Mayor, we having a Memorial Day Parade this year?
No, we are not.
That's unfortunate.
Yes, it is.
With the situations that, a lot of things easing up. And, looks like a lot of restrictions being eliminated or at least cut back. This would have been a really nice way to kind of kick off the summer and kind of almost celebrate, hopefully, the end, or at least the beginning stages of the end of this damn pandemic. And because this has always been such a treasured jewel of South River to have the Memorial Day Parade, and realistically, to honor our fallen soldiers, I think this would have been a really nice thing to pursue. It's unfortunate, and it's now 2 years in a row we haven't had a Memorial Day Parade. And I have to say, I didn't comment on this last year, but I'm going to comment on it now. It really, really, I think, was disgusting, and it was bothersome to me that we did not have a Memorial Day Parade in 2020, yet 13 days later, there was a group of protesters here in South River, and they walked the Memorial Day Parade route 13 days after the Memorial Day Parade was canceled. Now, I realize we don't have a whole lot of control about certain situations, and there was other issues that took place and so forth, but that was disgusting that we could not honor our soldiers, but protesters walked that same path. That just is unacceptable to me. And I know the chair of the Cultural Arts and Heritage Commission is not available tonight to make any comments, but as my wife, I will comment for her. And she is stating, as the chair of the Cultural Arts and Heritage Commission, she is extremely disappointed that we were not permitted to honor our fallen soldiers this year with the Memorial Day Parade. That's all I have. Thank you, men. Thank you, women.
Thank you, Mr. Hutchison. Anyone else, Mr. Lundensky?
I see no one in the chat room.
Okay, and in that case, we will close the public portion.
Make a motion to close public.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Seula, seconded by Mr. Gindi. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? The ayes have it. Moving on to consent resolutions, Mr. Lundensky.
Thank you, Mayor. Consent resolutions. Consent resolution number 149, approve insertion of special revenue items into the 2021 budget. 150, appointment of executive administrative assistant. 151, property tax refund. 152, appoint member to Summit Engine Company. 153, appoint various inspectors to Construction Code Department. 154, award contract to Care One at East Brunswick Assisted Living for Office on Aging Mental Health Services. 155, appoint Borough Clerk. 156, approve utility consumer refunds. 157, appoint part-time DPW employees. 158, appoint registrar of vital statistics. 159, appoint secretary to the Board of Health. 160, authorize final payment and change order for improvement to Alborn Street. 161, approve application to apply for grant from New Jersey Library Construction Board Act. 162, improve intent to provide matching funding for grant from New Jersey Library Construction's Bond Act. 163, approve the bills.
Motion to accept consent resolution.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gindi, seconded by Mrs. Ballas. Roll call.
Councilwoman Ballas.
Yes.
Councilman Sayula.
Yes, with the extension from 152 and on 163, number 21-01060 and 21-00367.
Councilman Gindi.
Yes to everything but abstention 152, and then abstention 163 to bills 21-01060 and 00367.
Councilman Gerchinsky,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mira,
Yes.
Council President Eppinger.
Yes.
Very good. We've already discussed the new business resolution, so we will end the agenda with the governing body's comments for the good and welfare. Having begun backwards before, I'll begin forwards this time with Mrs. Ballas. Any comments?
Yeah, I would also like to extend my condolences to the Rosano and the Bourne family. I did read her notice of her death today, and what a life she had. I wish I would have known her more. Mr. Rosano, I never had him as a teacher, but I'm sure one of my sisters did. But he always had a smile on his face, and he always greeted me as one of those coil girls. He never said who was his favorite, so we were all five of us were equally remembered, and we remember him. My family does as well. And on Monday, Memorial Day, also I will miss the parade. I always liked walking that route. But keep in mind that the true meaning of that day is that we remember those who died in active service. Go visit a cemetery, go pay tribute to a fallen family member, but remember them, and everybody have a safe weekend. That's it.
Thank you, Mrs. Ballas. Mr. Seula?
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to extend my condolences to the Bourne family and the Rosano family. I did have Mr. Rosano as a teacher way back when. Great guy. He will be truly missed. Second, I'd like to congratulate Ms. Minock on her appointment tonight as Borough Clerk. Welcome aboard. I look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Also like to thank our DPW and our first responders, police and fire, for everything that they do. DPW guys are doing a great job keeping this town clean and working really hard to keep all our infrastructure going. And lastly, which probably everybody really doesn't know, Mr. Lundunsky. He does a fantastic job for this borough. He's saving this borough a ton of money. He's doing multiple hats, and he's keeping everything going strong. So to Mr. Lundunsky, thank you for everything that you do. And with that, Mayor, I have nothing else. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gindi.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Lourdes Francisco and the South River Portuguese Club for hosting our second clinic that we brought to our town, to this town for the vaccination. It was a great turnout. She was very, very receptive. She very, very responsive in helping the town out. I know that she was talking about the flag raising, and it will be on June 12th. I just don't know the time yet. We're still trying to figure it out, but please come out and support. At the same time, I'd also like to add that we will be having our third clinic for vaccination, which is going to be on June 5th, which is a Saturday. June 6th is going to be the second dose of the first time that we had it. We actually gave it to, putting it out to all the churches in South River. It doesn't stop any of us to come out and also get the vaccination if you choose to. It will be from 10 to 2 at the St. Mary's Coptic Orthodox School, which is held at 60 David Street, which is the back of the building, which is the cafeteria. Also, I like to, I hate to say this, a very dear friend of, I should say, all of us, has a company in South River that after 49 years, he's going to be closing the doors on June 30th, which is the South River Glass. Matter of fact, he's very close with Tony Ciola. Dominic Bon Jovi and Lou Bon Jovi have had this business going on even when his father started it. And sadly, they are going to be closing the doors. So before they close up, come out and thank them. Come see them. June 30th is coming up pretty rapid. I know we lost Cafaros quite a few months ago, and sad to see these people go. Also, Tony Rosano. It was very disappointing to hear of his passing. Last time I was with Tony, believe it or not, was during Memorial Day 2 years ago. God, for probably at least 20 years, maybe 25 years, I've always had the opportunity to drive in the Memorial Day parade. Whether I walked or I drove or I had a car there for him, he always was in that car. Last time it was Tony and I can't tell you the talks that we had, the history. He loved this town. He was a great teacher, a great father, a great friend, a great councilman. He was all around a phenomenal person to this town. He will be surely missed. Ms. Manak, welcome aboard. Hope to work with you soon.
Thank you.
And I know the weather's getting extremely, hot. Please check up on your elderlies, especially in these blistering hot days. You never know who's in the house. So if you know there's somebody next door, knock at their door and make sure they're okay. Kids are out playing, so please be aware that they're running, rapidly. So please keep your eyes open. Other than that, I wish everybody the best Memorial Day, and see you next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gindi. Mr. Gurczynski.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to extend my gratefulness to our DPW, our police, fire, and everyone else. Of course, this Memorial Day weekend coming up, I think everybody's pretty much said it all. Yes, the veterans and also the fire department pay their respects to many of the members that they lost, and our police department. Also, it's been a tough year. We lost a lot of people throughout the town. Tony was a former classmate, and it's hard. It really is. Miss Woodham, Miss Borum, and everything like that, and all the other members, Charlie, and it's been a rough year. With that, I want you to keep them in your heart and everything like that too, and have a wonderful Memorial Day. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Mara.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to say today I got my second dose of the vaccine here in town, so fully vaccinated. But I do want to ask, I'm sorry, if I could ask the borough attorney, is it a HIPAA violation to ask people if they were vaccinated?
It wouldn't be a HIPAA violation because the borough is not covered by HIPAA. However, there is a fine line in what you can inquire about employees and their medical status. And this is, you're kind of getting into attorney-client privilege and advice information. So if you want to discuss this further, you can give me a call.
I just want to make that clear. I know employers and small businesses and stuff like that, especially with things opening up and soon being able to unmask, going out in public. I know that that's a question that people are going to be asking, and people ask. So I was just curious to know if it was an actual HIPAA violation, if an employer asked or not. But
well, they're so without getting too far into attorney-client privileged advice, to answer your question, no, it wouldn't be a HIPAA violation. However, there are other issues that would be at play, which again, we can discuss offline, but HIPAA per se, no.
Okay. Also, I want to mention, I reached out to our state legislator, Rob Karavinchek, regarding what they're hoping to pass in our state budget this year. One of the things he did mention to me, like our safe streets and infrastructure, there's going to be a lot of money coming into the state that we should be trying to reach out and get. And I'm thankful for having a small conversation with him. And I hope that us being ready for what's coming this year, especially from the state, that we prepare ourselves in our projects and our infrastructure and all of that. So hopefully at our next meeting, or if we go further with speaking with Bruce and our engineer, I hope we are looking into the infrastructure, especially since we are having the discussion with the county and wanting to open up Main Street. I know, Mr. Eppinger, you've brought that up before. If we're gonna open up Main Street, why don't we look at what we can do and really push that this year? Because, you know, a lot of money is coming to the state, and if we ask for it and if we push for it, you know, there could be a possibility that it comes to us in South River. Mr. Mayor, I know you mentioned that we're saving a bundle with Mr. Londensky doing a lot and having a lot on his plate. I commend Mr. Londensky. He took the position of a part-time business administrator, and he does well more than what a full-time business administrator does. As you recall, when we didn't have a business administrator and we did put that on Mr. Zanga, it was tough. And that's why we had to push and get somebody else. And for Mr. Londensky to be doing so many things in our town and so many positions, you know, great for him for wanting to do this and helping South River, but we also have to look in the future and see how much it's really benefiting us by not appointing a full-time construction code official, especially with all of the work that's starting to get going here in South River. So I hope that's something that you guys really look into going forward. This is the year that, you know, if we're saving so much money, then I think we should have enough to get a full-time construction code official. Again, thank you, Mr. Londensky, for taking up so many positions at the time that we need it, but I think that's falling on us as council members for not looking ahead and really preparing for some of the things that's happened. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. I've mentioned this before, but 1 in 5 adults experience mental illness each year. 1 in 6 youth experience mental illness each year. And believe it or not, suicide is the 2nd leading cause of death among people between the ages of 10 and 34. I bring this up because May is Mental Health Awareness Month. I did a few years ago, a very good friend to suicide, and it's good to check up on the people that we care about every once in a while. So just some thought. Also, May, congratulations to all the college graduates. If you look around town, a lot of our kids are graduating college, a lot of them from Middlesex County College, a lot of them from 4-year universities. So congratulations for that. I know a lot of colleges didn't do a in-person graduation. Some of them stuck to virtual this year, but it's still nice to let them know that they're, you know, they've accomplished something great and they're part of this town. So congratulations to them. And I'd also like to give my condolences to former Councilman Tony Rosano. He was one of my teachers as well as many others here in town. So I didn't get to be on council with him, but I did appreciate the things I did know about him, and he was a great person. So that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Eppinger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a few things. First of all, Ms. Mintock, welcome aboard. Welcome to South River. Look forward to working with you for a little while. I want to congratulate and thank Debbie Jones, known, you know, not only as a dedicated borough employee for all these years, but again, Debbie's one of, you know, like so many of us in South River, we go back a long way. Thank her for her service to the borough. And, you know, again, it's one of those things where in a small town, she took on a lot of different roles, did a lot of things behind the scenes, helped out a lot with the food bank and the Frost and the Pumpkin. Just two, and again, that's just two things. But there's so many things that Deb was involved in. 30-some year career here with the borough, doing a lot, again, wearing a lot of different hats, doing a lot of things. Congratulations to her and to Jimmy. I wish you guys nothing but the best. You both have been great public servants and so valuable to South River over these last number of years. Nothing but the best and Godspeed. And my, you know, and I also just want to thank our veterans as well. I know Memorial Day is not about that. It's about those who gave the ultimate sacrifice and died in the service of the country. As many of you or most of you know, my oldest son George is named after my uncle, who was killed in Vietnam in '66. And so Memorial Day has always been a very special and a very solemn occasion in the Eppinger household. And it's as if you maybe knew Frank Wagenblast, when we served on the Board of Ed together and had many discussions at night, and especially during negotiations and such. And he always mentioned about how my Uncle George's death in Vietnam really brought the Vietnam War home to South River. So I always remind people, go down and take a look at the monument in front of the War Memorial, and realize that those folks that are listed on that, from the World War I on through all the different conflicts, that they're not just names on a plaque. They were flesh and blood. They were the kids that played and grew up in our town. And remember that these wars and the people that we honor, that it really did affect the town in South River. And on another last sad note, I also my condolences to the Rosado family. And as Jimmy said, it's been a bad year. We've lost a lot of people this year, a lot of great people. I've known Tony for a long time. I will tell you one funny story. Tony was a big Yankee fan. He used to always poke fun at the Met fans like me. He'd walk into a classroom and say, always remember, the Mets are the only team that traded Choo-Choo Coleman for Choo-Choo Coleman in cash, and they lost. So that was one of his big things. Had the privilege of serving with him on the governing body and also on the Lions Club. In fact, I talked to Tony not that long ago, where he called, and again, he was still serving his town. He wanted to make sure that he could come down to Borough Hall and get the glasses that the Lions Club that we collect and get repurposed. He wanted to make sure that somebody would be down there and be able to let him in and get it. So even up to when he wasn't feeling well, he mentioned he was having some issues at that point, but he was still serving the borough right up to the end. And just a great guy, good person to serve with, and just a family friend for many years. So our bets and our hearts go out to Linda and the entire family. So with that, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to wrap it up.
Okay. As was mentioned by Mr. Lindensky, the borough clerk's position was filled first, and then the construction official will be at the next meeting. It was a matter of setting priorities as to which is going to be handled. And so that's why it was done in that order. I thank the members for talking about Tony Rosano. I had forgotten, I've lost track as to when people are passing away. So many of our stellar citizens are passing away. It's hard to keep track as to when they were doing it, but that's right. Usually at the beginning of the meeting, I would have remembered Tony. I've lost track of when he had passed, but he did pass since our last meeting. And yes, I did also serve with him. Always a gentleman. He fought for what he believed and always had the town at heart. So Tony, we're gonna really miss you. As we're going to miss Debbie Jones, who has served here for so many years, walking in and not seeing her at her desk there, so many different ways that she has helped this town. And Debbie, we wish you the very best in your retirement, and please enjoy it. You had a very rough year with COVID. Hopefully fully recovered, you and Jimmy can enjoy life. So best wishes to you as we say hello to our new borough clerk. Hello, Sue. Welcome aboard. And I think you're going to find South River very interesting. And having seen one meeting, you ain't seen nothing yet. So it'll be quite
Thank you, Mayor.
As for Memorial Day, no, there's not going to be a parade. I alone made that decision. Given this situation as it was just a few weeks ago, I felt it better not having a crowd in front of the museum there, because they'd all have to social distance and or wear masks. And no, they wouldn't have done any of that. And now by Friday, if you're vaccinated, you won't have to do that. So things are changing quickly. Our parade will be back next year. We have a respectful Memorial Day, remembering those that gave their lives for our country. I'm sure there will be a memorial service, and also be respectful to each other. Memorial Day, there are fireworks going off, people are having picnics, loud music going into the wee hours of the morning. Be respectful to your neighbor, because people don't want to call the police, but at 1 o'clock in the morning, it's kind of annoying to be listening to that, especially if you got warmth and the windows are open. Not everybody has air conditioning. So, stop and think about your neighbor. You can have music, just don't have it blaring long that you can hear it 2 blocks away. So be respectful to your neighbor. Our next meeting is June the 14th. It is Flag Day. So please, by all means, put out your American flag and honor it as you honor our country. Is there anything else to come before us? Hearing none, may I have a motion?
Motion to close.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gindi, seconded by Mr. Siula. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? The ayes have it. We stand adjourned.
Everyone.
Good night, everyone.